Push the white, yellow up, right? Perfect. All right, I would like to call the meeting together, the subcommittee meeting, and I just want to take roll just for informational purposes so we know who's here.
Very good. Assemblymember Buchanan.
Here.
Assemblymember Hagman. Here. Esteban Almanza.
Here.
Kathleen Moore. Here. Cesar Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you. So we primarily have two items on the agenda today. The County Office of Education, their participation in the school facility program, and to discuss the financial hardship program. And we're going to take the financial hardship program first to accommodate speakers on the county program.
Oops, sorry, I've got a couple of different mics pointing at me.
We're going to two first. Yeah, I'm just reversing it because the one of the speakers can't be here till 10:30.
So, yeah, good morning, everyone.
It's yours on, do I?
Oh, this might be an older one.
Is it on now? Is it working? Good, because I'm not sure if I'm pressing the right buttons here. I had that off and then it, okay. Got it. All right.
Okay, so Lisa Silverman here, and myself and Jason Hernandez will be covering the financial hardship piece, and then we'll have Juan also comment on the County Office of Education and the programs that we cover for the school facilities program. So, quick overview of the program. The financial hardship program has been designed since 1998, and it's basically to provide districts assistance when they're unable to make their match portion for their projects. So with modernization, a 60-40 split, meaning the state would contribute for the 40% that the district can't commit to, and 50-50 split on new construction where they are asking for state assistance to cover for their actual proportionate share. So on page one, we actually have some charts to share with you. Basically, since 1998, we've actually distributed over nearly $31 billion in cash. And so that red carve out in that pie represents nearly $3.4 billion in funds provided for districts and county offices for the financial hardship program. And the rest of the blue shaded area nearly represents $28 billion of funding for your normal 50-50 districts. So again, those are the outcomes as far as dollars that have been distributed in the program. And then on page two is just a snapshot of the program statistics of how many hardship approval statuses have been provided for both districts and county offices of education. And so for calendar year 2008, you see the red shaded area, county offices of education have received 17 approvals. Likewise, districts have received 35 approvals. And in 2009, 12 approvals and 22 approvals for districts, 11 approvals for 2010, and so on. And again, with the dollars provided in the program on page 3, you'll see number of funding has gone through for the last 4 years for those hardship districts, $276.4 million for calendar year 2008. Likewise, there was a dip in 2009, and that was as a result of the freeze, where the Pooled Money Investment Board had froze our funds for a short time until we actually had some bond sales. So we were actually frozen out for a short time, and then 2010 it started to pick up. And again, these are projects that are on the unfunded list and are able to compete in priorities of funding. We started moving forward with providing cash to hardship districts. So you'll see 140 million in 2010, nearly 31 million in calendar year 11, and 42.2 million in 2012. Also on page 15 or 17, we actually have a state distribution chart of all the funds that have been provided to financial hardships districts on page 15 statewide. So out of that $3.34 billion, again, our nice chart displays how many pupils it served in the various areas. In Southern California, the San Diego area you see $175.4 million that was distributed to both districts and county offices of education to cover over 1 million pupils in that area. And so that was the state's, again, share for the financial hardship program. And likewise, you'll see the distribution statewide. So with that, I'm not sure if you have any questions on the map, but I'll change it over to Jason for the eligibility portion of it.
Madam Chair, I got a quick question. Just on numbers. Just on the quick numbers, it looks like 12% goes to financial hardship so far, and is that pretty consistent? Is that by reason that everyone else has the funds, or is that the only funds we have? Are we capped at 12% roughly?
Well,
I understand you can't give it if you don't do the bond sales. I know we had that slow down that period, but it's just, it seems pretty consistent over the life of the funds so far. So is that what your interpretation is, or is there a lot more need out there than there is funds, or is that about right going through?
well, I know there's been a couple studies over the program. Some of the larger districts, they have the wherewithal and to encumber their funds, but some of the smaller districts, they do pay a good portion of the share. So when we do look at the finances, small, large districts in general, if they have funds to contribute and they're in the capital facility funds, then yes, they do contribute to the project. So there's a good portion of them that do. There's also a good portion that don't contribute to the project. So we do have statistics that we could probably share at a future date about how many actually do contribute to the projects, whether it's small, medium, or large. But it's hard to determine. I mean, we can actually break out need as well.
Okay, well, and this goes on the bigger discussion. I don't know if you want this now or at the end of the presentation, as far as some of the concerns that I had.
Let's save it for the end.
Okay.
Okay, good morning. And I'll start off, like Lisa said, just basically talking about the eligibility. I'll go through the qualifying process, the hardship approval, what that means, and basically the hardship funding, and just kind of walk through an overview of the process. Starting with the eligibility. Currently a COE or a district is eligible for financial hardship assistance, and there's two main things. One, that they're showing that they're making all reasonable efforts to fund their matching share of their projects on their own before they come in for hardship, and that the district is financially unable to contribute the full share for their 50% if it was a new construction project. So the qualifying process. Basically, both school districts and county offices go pretty much through the same process. They start everything off by submitting the financial hardship checklist to our office. That will trigger the beginning of the review. Someone will go through that to make sure all the documents are complete. If everything looks complete, then it will be added to the workload list and be assigned to an auditor for review. Once the auditor is assigned to the package, then they will review the initial documentation. And the first part, what they'll check for is to make sure that they're meeting one of the eligible criteria. And that criteria is listed on the next page, on the top of page 4 there. And it goes through the basic financial hardship criteria. And what this is basically that's the way that they're showing that they're making all reasonable effort to fund their matching share of their project by meeting one of this criteria. The first thing is that they have to be leveling the maximum level of developer fees. And once they do that, then they have to meet one of the following in addition to the developer fees. One, they have to have at least 60% total bonded indebtedness, and that bonded indebtedness should be for capital facility purposes. If they've had a successful Prop 39 bond within the last 2 years, their local bond, then that can qualify them as long as those proceeds are being used, the proceeds from that bond is being used for SFP purposes. If they're a county office of education, then they meet the criteria. If it's a smaller district and their total bonding capacity is less than $5 million, currently that is one of the ways that they can meet the criteria. If they don't meet one of the 4 standard criteria, they still have the option to come into the board under other evidence and present their case as to why they should be considered eligible for financial hardship assistance.
I have a question on the criteria.
So, yeah, we have a question on the criteria?
Sure.
Maybe the same. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's still hard for me to jive financial hardship with my experience with other government assistance programs. You know, typically financial hardship means assisting economically distressed areas, very low income, truly in need of extra financial assistance. And this criteria doesn't totally fit that. For example, why does being a COE automatically qualify you for hardship? Or, on the level of fees, is it level 1 fee? Is level 2 more, just defining a higher level of distress in the area? And are these criteria in law, or do we have any kind of flexibility to adjust?
Currently, the criteria that I just went through, it's both in statute and the regulations, so it is currently in law. And that was from the inception of the program when the emergency regulations went into effect in December, was it December of 1998? Yeah, December of 1998. So I know one of the questions you asked was the COE. That was one of the criteria that was originally listed when the program was put together and when it was put into law. As far as the level 1 and the level 2 developer fees, those are two different fees. The level 1 fee is set and it's adjusted every other year, and that fee is